Welcome back to Cox Connections, seen exclusively on Cox 9 Roanoke. I'm Kim Stanley. Cox Communications and National Center for Missing and Exploited Children joined forces to bring teens from all over the country together to discuss the behavior of young people online. Participants discussed online safety concerns such as cyberbullying, sexting, and digital reputation management. Cox Roanoke's Public Affairs Specialist, Margaret Hunter Wade, is here to tell us more about Cox's 5th anniversary Teen Summit. Margaret Hunter, thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us why Cox took the initiative to do this Teen Summit.
Well, as you mentioned in your intro, we partnered with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And the purpose of this for 5 years now has been to actually bring the teens forward and let them talk about what they're doing online. You know, so many of the reports are studies and surveys and percentages, but until the teen themselves can really talk about what they're doing, why they're doing it, the issues that they see with what they're doing or not noticing the issues is really the importance. So we wanted to hear what the teens had to say. So the Cox systems across the country have selected a teen to represent their area at the summit. So this year they had 10 teens from across the country come together. John Walsh sits down with them, talks to them about their habits online, what they're doing as far as social media, to really find out what they're doing, why they're doing it.
Wow, and it probably adds some validity to it as well by having the teens speak versus the constant just pushing out the statistics.
Right, exactly, because the parent's going to listen when a kid's saying, I'm posting pictures out there and I don't think there's a problem with it.
Right, right. That's great. Well, we have a clip for the Teen Summit, so why don't we go to that? Television host and children's advocate John Walsh moderated the National Teen Summit on Internet Safety in Washington, D.C. on June 15th. The event provided insights on how teens can stay safe in a world increasingly reliant on the Internet and wireless devices. Here are some highlights of the event.
Conversations. You have to understand that Google is getting wiser and wiser. The spider is becoming more and more intelligent. So it picks up lots and lots of different things. And you should use Google Alerts. You should have your name in Google Alerts. Parents that are listening and watching, Google Alerts is critical to monitor what's being said about your kids. But lots of things get picked up by Google. So even comments that you make, you might not think about it. It might just be an off-the-cuff comment on Justin Bieber's fan. I'm just throwing it out. Look at me in that tone of voice. But yeah, you make a comment on Justin Bieber's page. You don't think much about it. You know what? And 2 years later, you're going for a job interview, and someone says, "Wow, you had a late night talking to Justin Bieber." Think about all those things. The internet doesn't forget.
With all the technology that's available today, it's a major part of your life.
And the social networking, the cell phones, everything, they're all a tool.
Sure.
And if we're learning tools to help us in life, why isn't this a tool that we can learn about also? And you can use a tool and you can abuse a tool.
That's right.
And there's kind of that difference.
Good
and
point.
if you understand kind of the guidelines and the consequences of your actions, then you can better use the tool for what it was intended to do instead of getting into all this trouble.
Or friending strangers. I assume that's going on. I know that was in the survey. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. In college, especially as kids are going off and exploring their newfound independence and I'm away from my parents, they seem to forget again about the consequences of sharing too much information. So whether they're sharing like, oh, I'm going over to such and such address for a party, come join me. I've seen that that's caused several issues on my campus. And I was amazed to see some of my employers over the summer. Facebook has become an integral part of their recruiting process.
Sure.
And so it's just interesting to see that the employers are kind of not only looking at your information that you're giving out, but your friends' information as well. And so how you have to be careful about who you're friends with on Facebook.
Absolutely.
And the type of information and the reputation that is portraying on yourself.
Great clip. So Margaret Hunter, what does all this tell us?
Really, I think the bottom line is that 82% of teens recognize that their reputation can be affected by what they do online. And the importance of this is that while they recognize it, they're not taking the steps to safeguard themselves, either from a safety perspective or just what information is being posted out there.
Wow. Parent of 3 children, what can I do now? I mean, what do we do with all this information and what can I do?
There's some great tools in place. One, you can get a Google alert with your child's name. That way, anytime anything is posted about them, you will be alerted to that. Secondly, friend your child on their social networking sites. It's important. If they're going to be out there, you want to know what they're putting out there. So make sure they ask you to be a friend. And finally, visit Take Charge. That's Cox's website to safeguard the digital home.
Great. Margaret Hunter, thank you so much. Great information for teens, great information for parents. Thank you for joining us.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Before you go, I want to personally thank you for choosing Cox Communications for your entertainment, information, and communication needs. We know you could have chosen another provider, but because you chose us, we promise to provide you with quality products backed up by a talented local team of professionals. I'm Kim Stanley, and I'll see you next time on Cox Connections.